and England, Real Madrid and Manchester City meet in the first leg semi-final of the UEFA Champions League at the Etihad on Tuesday. City scored once in the first leg and then defended doggedly to get past Atletico Madrid in the quarter-finals, while Real ended Chelsea's hopes of back-to-back European titles in dramatic fashion. This is the third time in 7 seasons that City have reached the last 4, while Real are in the semi-finals for the 10th time in 12 years. Here to help preview the semi-final first leg is our international football correspondent, Brent Sancho. Brent, welcome.
Hey guys, good to see everyone.
No problem. Well, Brent, both teams will be, looking forward to do their best. Both teams look in fine form. What will be the deciding factor for this first leg?
Hey, Mariah, that's a difficult question because if you look into both teams and what they've done so far, particularly Real Madrid, it seems like they have this never say die, refuse to get out of the competition, snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. And I could go on and on and on. And despite the fact that if you were to line them up, some may edge City ahead in terms of quality, but certainly it's a game that is poised to be very, very tight, very close, and it's very, very difficult to call.
Where injury concerns are involved, which team is more prone to, missing players because of injury?
Well, I think both have their main set of players available, and I think that's the key thing. And I think at the end of the day, both will feel that they have enough within their locker. And most would suggest, including myself, that the battle of this game will take place in the middle of the park. And more importantly, Luka Modric versus Kevin De Bruyne. And I think that really essentially may just decide this tie, because both players possess not just the quality to win football games, but the quality to win a tie. And if you need any example of that, just turn the pages back to, of course, Real Madrid's performance against Chelsea. Luka Modric, as much as Benzema was the headliner, I think Luka Modric was the reason why Real Madrid has moved on to the semi-finals.
There are injury doubts, though, Brent, about David Alaba's participation and Casemiro at the base of the Real Madrid midfield. Casemiro, we understand, they'll leave it until as late as possible before determining whether he can take the field. If those two are out, you'd say that there is a distinct advantage for City in terms of the strength of the respective 11s.
Yeah, I would give a slight edge, but I do like the like of Camavinga. I do like the look of a rearrange with Valverde, etc. in the middle of the park. I would agree that, of course, that loss of Casemiro is a big loss for Real Madrid, and of course David Alba, because he's brought a lot of solidity along with Militao at the back. But I just think there's so many quality players within Real Madrid, and all due respect, yes, it's a loss, but I still think the quality is still there to make this tie still a very, very tight tie. And again, I go back to the two names, Luka Modric and Kevin De Bruyne. I think if Luka Modric plays to his full capacity at both ties, it's going to be a very long afternoon, both afternoons for Manchester City.
Eder Militao is back after a yellow card suspension, but after what we saw his replacement Nacho do in the game that Militao missed, if you were Ancelotti, would you bring back Militao into central defense, or would you go with what you did in the previous round?
Tell you what, George, that's a really tough question. But I think you have to look at it from what they expect to get from Manchester City. What do they expect? High pressing, of course, a game that's going to be played in the front foot. And you may lean towards Militao's athletic ability, Militao's ability on the football, although it's very comparative to Nacho. But I think the partnership, in particular with him and Alba, and the understanding, I was really impressed with what they did at Stamford Bridge against Chelsea. Both centre halves, because we talked a little bit about it when we were doing the game, of course, about Chelsea's press and how Real Madrid was able to break that press. And the reason why they were able to do it is because of the confidence on the ball of people like Militao and of course Alba. So yeah, I think it's a very, very difficult decision, but I may just lean towards Militao.
With all that has been said about all the players who we're expecting to start, and all the guys we've spoken about are expected to start once they are fit, the fact still remains that Real Madrid, Carlo Ancelotti, has an ace called G. Bale on the bench that he has not had cause to play so far in this competition. When you consider that, Brent Sancho, and we know that these games are often won from the bench, it's who has strength in reserve when the game is tight and the players on the park cancel each other out. Do you suspect even, that the Welshman could have a decisive role to play in whether or not Real Madrid passes this test and goes on to Champions League title number 14?
Yeah, I certainly think so. I mean, he does have the ability. There's no doubt about that. And he could easily become a game spoiler. Although he's been sparingly used, you never know when it comes to these sorts of situations, simply because, as you rightfully said, both teams can easily cancel each other out. And it will take an X factor to win a football game. And when there's a game like this that is so evenly poised and so close and so hard to even start to discuss who may be a potential winner, when you have someone like Gareth Bale on the bench that could come off and at any minute, as we saw in a European final, decide a fixture, then you have to count him in and you have to take him into consideration. And I do believe that those are the types of scenarios. As much as we would love here to talk about De Bruyne and Modric and Benzema and of course Raheem Sterling, etc., you cannot factor out those guys as well, because this game is not a 1 through 11. I think it's a 1 through 22.
Yep. Speaking of Raheem Sterling, the Jamaican-born Englishman Brent Sancho has 23 Champions League goals in his career. That's the third most of all Englishmen. That was a surprising statistic for me. I thought that there were more Englishmen in the Champions League who would have scored more goals than him, but he sits really, really high up. After the disappointment of his performance in that final against Chelsea last season, where he was virtually invisible for the time he was on the pitch, do you sense that this big occasion can get a rise out of Raheem Sterling, whether used from the start or off the bench, and that this young man could be a difference maker for Pep Guardiola's team in this tie?
You know, George, I read an article from Micah Richards, a former Man City man, speaking about how underrated Raheem Sterling is, and I have to agree. You know, when you talk about what he presents, what he brings to the table, what he's done for Manchester City, you very rarely hear him mentioned. Of course, you have to put that in the context, because there's the likes of De Bruyne, because there's David Silva. But right up there for me in terms of contribution to Manchester City is Raheem Sterling, and he is a genuine danger man. And I'm not surprised about the stats at all, because he puts himself into those positions because of what he does. He's great at 1v1 and all the other attributes he has. And as much as we try to put the different scenarios within this tie as to who may be the match winners, that's one of them right there, Raheem Sterling, because for me, he's one of those that could pop up with a Raheem Sterling type performance and turn this whole tie around. When
you look at Real Madrid's progress to this point, Brent, they beat a PSG team that had supreme ball handlers, men who relish one-on-one situations to destroy defenders, and another one comes, they destroy that one and score. Mbappe over the two legs was not allowed the run of the park in any of those games. Neymar wasn't allowed either. Messi was subdued for much of the two contests that they played. And then Real went on and they played a team like Chelsea, known for their defensive discipline, and they also conquered that. Then you look at Man City, one goal in the first leg against Atletico, and then backs to the wall defending of a kind you don't usually associate with a Pep Guardiola team, Brent Sancho. I say all of that to say, it could come down to tactics. It could come down to who tweaks what. How does Pep disrupt the midfield partnership involving Casemiro, Kroos and Luka Modric? How does Carlo Ancelotti disrupt the Kevin De Bruyne rhythm, the Phil Foden impact, the runs of Kyle Walker if he starts? Cancelo is suspended, so that's one less headache for the Italian. If it comes down to tactics, Brent, which coach is better equipped to have the edge?
I would certainly go with Pep Guardiola, and I'll tell you why. As much as we look at the glass half full for Real Madrid, I also look at it half empty. Because if you look at the type of results that they've had to pull off, there were moments of brilliance. Modric pass, of course, to Benzema in the Chelsea tie. And of course, they didn't have a terrific two legs with PSG, similar to said with Chelsea. And at some point, you feel that their luck will run out. Because let's be honest, they did ride their luck on a couple of occasions. And from a tactical perspective, I think Pep Guardiola has shown that he has been pristine throughout this tournament. what's impressed me with Manchester City is that performance away to Atletico Madrid, because that's a Manchester City that grinded out a result, something we don't ever mention when we speak about a Pep Guardiola side or Manchester City side under Pep. So for me, as much as we talk about this, the tactic side, I would have to really hang my hat on Pep Guardiola because of what he's accomplished so far, and of course, the half glass full mentality I have, of course, with Real Madrid.
Colours nailed to the mast by Brent Sadja. Thank you very much for your contribution today, my friend. We'll talk further.
All right, guys, have a great one.
Good. So, Brent says, Whittaker, Mariah, that if it comes down to tactics,
yes,
Carlo Ancelotti, who's on the brink of doing something that no coach in the history of football has done, which is win the top 5 leagues in Europe: France, Spain, Germany, England,
yeah,
Italy, and won 3 Champions League titles already. If he wins 4, he'll be alone. That Pep can conquer all of that with his expertise.
Well, I'm hoping he can, but I have one problem with this, the psychological aspect that, okay, we've never won the Champions League, so that's one thing. 2, Pep always lets his emotions and his nerves get the better of him. 3, and truthfully, Real Madrid, where La Liga is concerned, that is safe, already in the bag. We are still fighting with Liverpool point upon point for the English Premier League. So I feel like...
It's not necessarily a bad thing, though.
I know,
because you're sharp.
Are we?
Yeah, because you're in a battle week in, week out at home. Real Madrid may be psychologically relaxing, Lance, and that might be the bad part.
Yeah. You know what? I'm pretty open to any result that happens in this tie. I'm giving Manchester City the edge, though. George, you put something to Brent just now about the questionable fitness of Casemiro and Alaba. Late fitness tests for both of them, which I always feel dodgy about, because even if they pass these late fitness tests, it means that something is there bothering them. And because of how fluently Manchester United have been attacking recently,
Man
City have been attacking.
Excuse, please don't mix up
attacking recently. You've got to respect Man City's ability to score goals even against the best teams. They've scored 10 goals in their last 3 matches, Manchester City, and it's hard for me to see them not scoring against Real Madrid on Tuesday.
They only scored 1 against Atletico, but they only needed 1, so there you go. All right, fine. Point. Anyway, everybody says Man City, so that means I'm gonna have to go with Real Madrid.
But you like Karim Benzema, so you can sing Big Baller.
Big Baller. We take a break and come back.
Thank you for watching SportsMax on YouTube. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and click the notification bell to stay informed.